Welcome back, Gems. I'm Jules Jones. This is a political rendezvous, and if you're just joining us, grab your coffee, get comfortable, because this one's a doozy. So okay, let me set the scene for you. New Jersey, the last 2 years, and this week the governor, Democrat mind you, walks up to the podium and goes, "So, funny story." Except it's not funny, because what she's about to tell you is that 6,600 people who are not citizens got registered to vote, and about 400 of them actually voted. And here's the part that made me go, wait, back up. These weren't people sneaking around in disguises. They had real IDs, valid licenses, and they walked into the DMV. They got asked, "Are you a citizen?" They pressed no, and the system went, "Cool, registering you anyway." So think about what that means. Everybody's out here arguing about showing your ID at the polls, right? Show your ID. Show your ID. But an ID would have stopped exactly none of this. Zero. Because the whole thing broke a year earlier, quietly at a keypad, where nobody was looking. That's the loophole. That's why we call this one the license loophole. And trust me, it gets messier from here. We'll be right back after this quick break. Don't go anywhere. A political rendezvous continues in just a moment. It's time for another political rendezvous. Welcome to Tea Spilling Saturdays. If you are new here, welcome to our tea room. My name is Jules Jones, and on Saturdays I go through the biggest political stories of the week. If you are interested in news and politics, I recommend you follow our channel. I throw a tea party every Saturday at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Time. I also encourage you to visit our website, julesjoneslive.com, for updates. Hello, Gems. This week was a study in contrast. Horrible things happened and wonderful things happened. On the horrible side, it all started with a terror attack at the Federal Plaza building in New York City. Then we learned that illegal aliens have voted in our elections. It is no longer a conspiracy theory, it's a fact. And the mayor of New York City threatened to arrest a visiting head of state. But on the wonderful side this week, RFK Jr. pulled Medicaid funding from California and Minnesota. Deranged Jack Smith has been criminally referred for prosecution. And best of all, JD and Usha Vance welcomed their 4th child into the world. Welcome, Alec Neil Vance. Very quickly before we get started, here are our fun facts for this week. 57 years ago, yesterday, July 24th, 1969, Apollo 11, carrying the first astronauts to walk on the moon, splashed down safely in the Pacific Ocean, completing the historic mission. And on Monday, July 27th, we will celebrate the 86th anniversary of the official debut of cultural icon Bugs Bunny in the cartoon A Wild Hare. What's up, Doc? By far, the most infuriating story this week was the confirmation that illegal aliens had been registered to vote in New Jersey, and some of them have already voted. thereby canceling out the votes of actual citizens. Running parallel to this, we have Do Nothing Thune, opposing the Save America Act, which would prevent election fraud like this from happening. This week, America confirmed the election fraud problem and simultaneously refused to address it. This is infuriating. New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill acknowledged that 6,600 illegal aliens had been registered to vote through the process of obtaining a driver's license. The next day, President Trump posted that the number in New Jersey was actually 35,152. That's why the title of our show today is The License Loophole. Sherrill blamed it all on a software glitch, and then absurdly, ridiculously claimed it was President Trump who was undermining election integrity. This was astonishing. President Trump has been fighting all along for voter ID and election integrity. The process of obtaining a driver's license and the process of registering to vote should never have been linked together in the first place. Those are two separate actions. Linking the two together was no accident. It happens all the time in Democrat-controlled states, and it is designed to flood our voter rolls with illegal voters. It's sickening. Thankfully, the DOJ has launched an investigation, but it's doubtful that such an investigation could conclude before the midterms. But here's the thing. Mikey Sherrill's 6,600 figure represents only the illegal aliens who accurately checked the box indicating they were illegal, but were still somehow registered to vote. As disgusting as that is, the much bigger question is, how many illegal aliens falsely checked a box to indicate they were citizens, were registered to vote by lying, and are still on our voter rolls today? All of this illuminates the urgent need for passage of the Save America Act as soon as possible, so integrity can be restored to voter rolls and to our elections before the midterm elections in November. Unfortunately, Republicans have a majority leader who is determined to do nothing to get this important legislation passed and placed on the president's desk for signature. He is getting blasted all day, every day on social media, and by the telephone calls we are all making. For Thune to obstinately resist all of this pressure, opposing legislation that is over 80% popular, tells you how completely owned he is. But before we get into the detail of the license loophole, we'll begin today's show once again with our reminder, followed by our streamlined format. First, despite the fact and evidence of massive election fraud, John Thune continues to metaphorically spit in the face of every American citizen by obstructing the Save America Act. The best way to help President Trump enact the Save America Act is to keep calling your senators and tag them on social media. Once again, here are the key numbers. Call John Thune, 202-224-2321, and let him know you want the Save America Act passed now before the midterms. Call him today. Call the Capitol switchboard at 202-224-3124 and implore your senators to vote in favor of the Save America Act. As always, be cordial, but remember, they work for you. Election cheating must end. Next, we'll get into our top news story countdown, which takes a more tongue-in-cheek approach to this week's mostly wonderful news stories. We'll spill the tea with this week's show, The License Loophole, which will include our current breaking news and X news for today. Our What is Wrong with These People segment, showing how the left has dumbed down society. Then finally, we'll review some of President Trump's victories for the week. Now, you all know I love having you here live at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time each Saturday. But if for some reason you can't be here, or if you've missed any of our live shows, you can always watch them later. Check them out. You can find all of our previous shows on our website, julesjoneslive.com. As always, a special thank you for finding your way to new live stream platforms, which can also be found on our website. I truly appreciate you. But for now, settle in, get comfortable with your beverage of choice as we begin this week's political rendezvous. Let's spill some tea, shall we? And we'll begin, as we always do, with our top news stories for the week. Coming in at number 10. Individual deploys explosive device outside 26th Federal Plaza in New York City, which holds 3 key immigration agencies. Suspect apprehended. While the fake news media immediately claimed a motive for the attack was unclear, videos revealed the terrorist cart had a sign which said, "ICE, get off our streets." The motive was abundantly clear. Although 2 people were injured, the outcome of this attack could have been much, much worse. Number 9. President Trump says Benjamin Netanyahu will not be arrested in any way, shape, or form while in the United States of America. New York jihadist Mayor Zohran Mamdani vowed to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu, even though he knew he couldn't. And after President Trump's statement, Mamdani had to reluctantly admit he had absolutely no authority to arrest anyone. Even CNN was laughing at Mamdani for thinking he had the authority to arrest Netanyahu in New York City. He did it for the publicity, nothing more. Interestingly, Mamdani had loudly protested the capture of Venezuelan tyrant Nicolas Maduro, but Kami Mamdani felt the arrest of a legitimate head of state was just fine. Number 8. JD and Usha Vance welcome newborn son, a boy, their 4th child. Welcome, Alec Neil Vance. Alec Neil is the first baby born to a sitting vice president in over 150 years. Number 7. RFK Jr. yanks Medicaid funds to California and Minnesota, says Democrats open the floodgates to theft. All California and Minnesota had to do was provide the records indicating where the money was going, as they are required to do by law. They refused. Gee, I wonder why. Now the funding has been cut. Number 6. Border Patrol records 14 straight months of 0 releases at the southern border. This is an astonishing accomplishment which barely received any notice. Congratulations to Tom Homan and our Border Patrol agents. Number 5. Catholic nuns sue New York over new law forcing them to assist patients in getting government-assisted suicide. Evil New York State Governor Kathy Hochul signed a law which will revoke their nursing licenses unless they actively assist suicides. These Catholic nuns believe life is sacred. Once again, Christian values are under attack from the left. Just when you think California is completely upside down, New York gets jealous and does something completely stupid to catch up. Let's keep these nuns in our prayers for a successful outcome. Number 4. President Trump on Truth Social. 35,152 is the new number just released by Homeland Security of non-citizens registered to vote in New Jersey. These are just the ones that got caught. Republicans get smart. Pass the Save America Act. I can't imagine John Thune didn't get the message, but all of you can call him today on 202-224-2321 and remind him, just in case he didn't hear, President Trump advising him to get smart. Number 3. Jim Jordan criminally refers deranged Jack Smith to the DOJ for prosecution. What? Jim Jordan actually did something besides talk? Hey, better late than never, Jim. Jack Smith should have been behind bars long ago. Number 2. Caroline Leavitt says President Trump's patience is wearing thin over the Save America Act. It's great to have Caroline back behind the podium, and she had a great week. Apparently, John Thune didn't like being called out during a live press conference. Too bad. Thune deserves to be criticized and humiliated every day until he passes the Save America Act. Their number 1 biggest story for this week. Senator Mike Lee just spent the last 90 minutes on the Senate floor trying to pass the Save America Act, laying out every way to get it done, and calling on leadership, Thune, to cancel the upcoming planned recess. Senator Mike Lee's passion and energy around the Save America Act are inspiring. Thank you, Mike Lee. It is absolutely imperative that the Save America Act in its entirety gets passed and enacted right now. Thune is an infuriating obstructionist. And there you have it, our top news stories for the week. Okay, I want to say hi to you today. Happy Saturday. I see a whole bunch of people in chat and just want to say hello. Tim Peck, 1157. Good afternoon. We are the News 2025. How are you doing? Lisa S. Arson, F, and it's 5609. I wanted to make that 5 and F. Don't ask me why. It's been a long couple of days. I'll tell you, this news cycle is crazy. Ulrich, how are you? Marissa, Renee, howdy, PK, and David. Everybody's saying hi to everybody. I never get to hang out with you guys in chat ever. And it's just really annoying because you look like you're having a lot more fun than I am a lot of the time. And I wish I could partake. But as you know, I've got the show to do. SL_Grib, how are you? We are the News 2025, Truth Over Agenda. U70, how are you doing? Sherry DE. Gosh, you guys, what a crazy couple of days. It's just been nuts over here. But once you start really cracking into this story, it just gets crazier. It really, really does. So we are back and we are ready to dive into this whole thing because it is bizarre. All right, so Jules Jones, a political rendezvous, and I am going to walk you through the timeline because the timeline is the story. So June 2023, that's the start. People are walking into the New Jersey DMV, applying for licenses, getting asked on a keypad, are you a citizen? They press no, and the system registers them to vote anyway. When does it get fixed? June 2024. That's a year. 365 days of a state government system doing the exact opposite of what people told it. And nobody catches it. Not the DMV, not the Division of Elections, nobody in one of the most Democrat-run states in the country. And when does the public find out? This week, July 2026. So the error runs a year, then sits for 2 more. 2 more years of elections, of certifications, of everybody swearing the rules are clean. Now the governor says she only learned about it last week. And okay, this happened under Governor Murphy before her time. I'll give her that. But listen to what she actually said in her own words, because she said the quiet part out loud. She said it was, quote, unacceptable that no one in the prior administration brought this to light, demanded accountability, or took action when it happened years ago. And she said she was appalled by the lack of transparency shown by those in charge at the time. That's the sitting Democrat governor of New Jersey saying the previous Democrat administration knew and buried it. That's not me. That's not Fox. That's her. So let's stop calling it a software glitch. Computers don't hide things for years. People hide things for 2 years. And here's the line I can't get past. She says, there's no evidence at this time that any elections were swayed. At this time? Love that. But think about what you're being asked to do. The people who couldn't detect 6,600 bad registrations for a year are now the same people telling you those bad registrations definitely didn't matter. They can't tell you which elections the 400 ballots landed in. They can't tell you which counties, which races, which margins. Everything specific is, we don't know yet. But did it matter? Oh, that one they've got locked in. Funny how the only thing they're sure about is the one thing that would embarrass them. And they've got the talking points already. That the registrations were spread across Democrats, Republicans, and unaffiliated. Okay, but not one of those people should have been on the roll at all. An illegal ballot doesn't become legal because it was bipartisan. That's like getting caught with a hole in the bottom of a boat and saying, relax, the water's coming in evenly. And the timing. You cannot make up this. I mean, this is crazy because 6 days before that press conference, President Trump stood up at the White House and said non-citizen voting is a real problem in this country, and the whole chorus did what it always does. Conspiracy theory, debunked, baseless. They've got it on a hotkey at this point. And then, 6 days later, a Democrat governor walks up to a microphone and confirms it in a state Trump didn't even win. He's been saying it for years, taking every insult in the book. And this week, the other side proved him right on camera voluntarily. Now stick with me, because when we come back, there's a twist most people haven't seen. Somebody's not buying the glitch story, and it's not a Republican. It's not a pundit. It's the software company itself. And we're going to get into that a little bit later, because there is so much to unpack in this show. As you know, it's something every single minute. But let's face it, these Democrats, as President Trump would refer to them, they've got a lot to hide. So this is really going to be the messy part of their operation. So we're going to head into what's been happening since all of this has been discovered, because as you know, they didn't even cover President Trump's speech when he was talking about the fraud in our elections. So it's really interesting that we are here now. Amazing how things come full circle. All right. Here we go. We're going to go spill some more of this, because it is definitely a very interesting situation that the Democrats have gotten themselves into. When you cheat, it's only a matter of time before it catches up to you. And boy, is it catching up. It's catching up in a big way. So that was the big news. You have the governor who comes out and basically says exactly what we've all been saying, that, hey, we have trouble in our elections. It's major. And now we have got proof. So New Jersey's motor vehicle system, they registered roughly 6,600 non-citizens to vote. This was between June 2023, June 2024. This is after they answered no to the citizenship question on a license application. And then it just started unfolding from there. The Dem governor blames software for letting thousands of non-citizens register to vote. These glitches always pop up in blue states, mind you, right before elections, and then they vanish right after. So you've got a whole bunch of things that are going on here, because it's just proving why we need the Save America Act. However, we've got to have proof of citizenship, because as I said earlier, you could have a driver's license all day long. It's not going to make a difference in this particular case, not even close. So let me get you back up on the screen here. I miss you already. All right, there you are. So we've got this back and forth. The lamestream media, they are forced to have to cover all of this, which, as you know, they're probably not happy with at all. Just because, hey, this is what we've been saying all along. Then, of course, the company in New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill, blamed for registering the 6,600 non-citizens. They fired back. They blamed the Division of Elections for hundreds of illegal voting in the state. So they're like, no, you're not going to be able to blame us here. Sorry, RIP you. You're not going to be able to do this. So the New Jersey governor, after she blamed the software glitch in the motor vehicle system for putting roughly 6,600 non-citizens on the voter rolls, they pushed back hard. The firm said it only transmitted the data, and that the state's own Division of Elections held full responsibility for checking eligibility before anyone got registered. Sherrill added that the fewer than 400 of those newly registered people actually voted. Still voted, though. Hey, hello. DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen, he put the broader total as with as many as 35,152 non-citizens on New Jersey rolls. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon then opened a federal investigation into the whole mess. So the company's response, this came after Cheryl's July 21st, 2026 statement and tied the error to the previous administration. She went ahead and just said, no, it's them, not us, because she did not want to carry that bag. But if you think about where she is, she had no choice. This administration is going after fraud. She knew that it was only a matter of time before all of this came to light, and she wanted just to get it over with. And then she said, okay, here's my out. I can blame the other administration, the prior administration. I can point fingers there. And then I can throw a bone and say, oh, it was the software company, because you know what? This isn't me, it's them. This is what happens when Democrats start taking over an entire state. They don't have anybody else to blame but themselves. Take my state of California, for example. Same exact thing. So you've got the voter rolls that are loaded with non-citizens. They are raising direct questions about who controls the outcome in close races. And the federal probe could force changes in how the states handle motor voter data going forward. It's going to be interesting to watch these updates. It truly is, because they are blaming the software company. The company says, no, this is you, and your policies are the ones that open the door. You're in charge. This is your bag, not us. So there was a lot of things going back and forth, and it just confirmed further why we needed the Save America Act. However, we've got Thune the buffoon up in there, who is not even responding. He's not doing anything. We've got to get rid of this clown. This guy is so bad. There's so many better choices. Rick Scott, Mike Lee. I think Mike Lee, first off, I'm a huge fan. This guy is out there every single day. If you look at his page, this is all he's talking about. This is his conversation. He's like, we have got to save this country, and the only way we're going to be able to do that is if we pass the Save America Act. We have got people here that are voting in our elections, and some of them think that it's perfectly fine if they do. They get put onto the voter rolls, and they're like, hey, got a ballot? Might as well go ahead and cast something over there, because, hey, you know what? I guess they consider me a citizen. I guess I can go ahead and shape the narrative because I'm living here. Illegally, mind you. So then they get to cast their vote to make things easier for themselves because they're here illegally. Why not take advantage of the system and then play the dumb card? Oh, I had no idea. I got a ballot. I was able to vote. It's not me, it's you. This is how vulnerable it is. Don't forget, LA goes through this all the time. 1.9 million were just taken off of our rolls. Just because you get a driver's license, which we need to look at a little bit further, mind you, because anybody and everybody is getting a license, especially commercial licenses, and you see what a travesty that has been. And then they end up on our voter rolls. And then you have deaths, huge deaths, because a lot of these commercial truck drivers, they can't speak English. They can't read signs. They have absolutely no idea how to drive the rig that they're in. This is frightening. This is so unsafe. It is so scary. Like I've told you before, okay, so I drive a lot in LA. Love to drive. However, one of our biggest concerns is that if you get into an accident, that other person may not be from here and may not have insurance. And so guess who's left holding that bag? I have friends whose cars have been completely totaled and they have just had to bite the bullet, get it fixed themselves if they can, or they're just stuck with having to get another car. Because, hey, what are you going to do? This person isn't from here. They don't have insurance. Okay, well, you know, what is anybody going to do for you? Your insurance company will help you only so much, but then you've used that card. So it's a problem. It's a problem I deal with every single day. I sit there and I'm like, okay, is it worth it? Am I going to go ahead and really, be as aggressive as I want? Because I have no idea who knows how to drive on this road and who definitely doesn't. And what kind of price am I going to have to pay? So these are the things. This is affecting us collectively as a society. So President Trump, he put it in the spotlight. He took those numbers from Mullen And he said 35,152 non-citizens registered to vote there. He tied it straight to the bigger picture, telling Republicans that they need to get smart and pass the Save America Act right now. The Department of Homeland Security, they start reviewing everything. They turned up with even larger totals in 3 other states. So you have 190,832 non-citizens in California, 15,903 in Nevada, and 14,576 in Pennsylvania. You have Homeland Security Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. He's sending letters to those 4 secretaries of state, and he's demanding they work with DHS to clean the rules. Trump already laid this all out during his address to the nation. This happened last week. As you know, a lot of these corporate news did not cover any of it. It was the most incredible thing I have ever seen. We talked about it last week. It's really kind of cool that we had the show where we were talking about all of that last episode. And then this happened this week. It was just coincidence? I think not. No, it just means that we are getting closer and closer. The Trump administration is on it. You have got states that are very nervous. You've got governors that are saying, hey, you know what? If I can get out of this now, I'm going to do it, and say, don't know what happened with the last guys that were here sitting in this office, but this is what I have. Although she kind of changed her tune after that because it was so obvious. Now, I think these numbers are very low. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that right now. Very low. I think we're talking about something even bigger than what is being reported, and I think time will tell that. But these figures came from the same DHS report that also flagged over 400,000 deceased registrants and over 28,000 additional non-citizens in states willing to share election files. Trump also added that the real number, again, is much higher because you've got several Democrat states that are refusing to cooperate with investigations. So the push for the Save America Act, it now targets exactly these gaps in the voter roll maintenance. States that drag their feet, leave the door open for more problems ahead of the next election cycle. And as you all know, we have midterms right around the corner. We are under a time crunch as it is. I'm concerned that they are going to try to pass Save America Act light, which is not going to cover all the things that we need it to. We need to push hard and heavy for the Save America Act in its original form, in its strong form. And Scott Presler is really doing a fabulous job, as are so many other people. Like I said, Mike Lee, gosh, he's just amazing individual. So he's working every single day, making noise, even though he has been warned. And he even said, look, I'm not the party favorite right now. He gets up on the floor and he's spending 90 minutes talking about why wouldn't you, Murkowski? Well, we know why Murkowski wouldn't. So you've got all of these facts that are coming out. 35,000 non-citizens on New Jersey rolls and counting. Democrats are calling it inclusion. Republicans are calling it time to pass the Save America Act before the whole world shows up on our voter rolls. I mean, let's face it, you've got a lot of people that want to have their picks in office, and it's not just here. You have the foreign influence with Act Blue. We're in serious trouble here. I cannot stress it enough. I really cannot. When you start looking at the fraud, when you start looking at all the different things that have happened, and just in the 4 years that Biden was at the helm. But since we've been playing this game of tennis, is what I like to call it, between the rhino Republicans and the Democrats, and you start realizing that you've got this whole establishment that is basically, and it has been confirmed, by the way, they're the ones that are pulling the strings. They are the ones that are lending their influence to have things turn out the way they do. The Republicans, the rhinos, we wonder why they're not doing anything. Well, it's kind of like throwing a match, right? Okay, you've seen that happen in the NBA and other places, right? You'll say, okay, wait, this is a shoo-in. This is a real easy win for us. And then all of a sudden somebody tanks it and you're like, how in the world did that even happen? You see it with soccer, right? I'm missing that, by the way. I thought that was a lot of fun, the World Cup. But you see that all the time. This is exactly what's happening in our government. Same strategy. We'll throw this one, go ahead and hand it back to you, then you hand it to us, and we just get to sit pretty, and nothing really changes in our world. This is what we're dealing with. They're throwing it on purpose. Thune is throwing it on purpose. It's not that he's incompetent, right? Or that he doesn't get it, or that, he's daft or any of that. No, this is all by design. He has made this arrangement. And these are the people that control and own him. And it is frightening to watch all of this happen because it's happening in your state. It's affecting us at home, local level, all of it. So you have even people like Jake Yapper on the discovery of the thousands of non-citizen votes in New Jersey. And he says, this is not good for Democrats. And it's not. It's not good for anyone. I mean, let's face it. You have got all of these people, 85%. It doesn't matter if you're an independent. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, a Democrat. People want to make sure that our elections are secure. And they're far from it. And yet you have both sides working against this. This is the biggest tell we've ever seen. So Jake Tapper from CNN, he reacted to the discovery of the thousands of non-citizens voting in New Jersey by telling viewers the finding was simply not good for the Democrats' argument that there is no such thing as undocumented immigrants voting. Let's call them what they are, illegal aliens. So the voters turned up. This is after the software error that allowed them onto the rolls. I don't think it was that much of an error, by the way, but this is the exact kind of problem that Democrats have long claimed never occurs. They've been saying over and over again, there is no evidence that any of this has happened, and it happened. So they had a little bit of whiplash because they had to cover it, of course. When you have the governor of a Democrat state that stands up at the podiums like, sorry, we have a little problem here. You have to cover it. And so they've been trying to back all of this stuff out, but it's not working because it's all there. And it's everything that we have been warning about. So this starts getting really hot. Then you have the DOJ. They enter stage left and they're like, okay, this is now it's time for us to go ahead and make our presence known. And boy, did they, because the DOJ opened an investigation into Eric, the state, New Jersey. This is over 6,600 illegal alien voter registration discrepancy. So they're like, put us in. We need to look at this stuff. And they are. So the motor registration, when all of this came out, you have the Department of Justice. They are going to expand their audits into every state system that links driver's license to voter rolls and pursue removal of ineligible entries through existing funding only to states that maintain separate citizenship verification steps outside of the automatic processes. So citizens contact state election officials to demand immediate cross-checks against immigration records and support lawsuits that enforce one citizen, one vote standards in the upcoming cycles. This glitch is huge. Democrats are saying, oh, it was just an accident. DOJ is saying it is a dilution of citizen votes. One of those views actually counts, and you can imagine which one that one is. So this is a big deal. Now you've got the DOJ. They've entered into the whole, chat. They've entered chat and they're going, all right, it's time for us to do something because Eric, we've talked about for quite some time. And now here they are. So you have New Jersey. They joined the ERIC system that does not report if a person is a non-citizen. Then the illegals started voting. 24 states are not using SAVE system to verify illegal alien voters. Big stuff happening behind the scenes. So they joined ERIC in August of 2022. ERIC does not report the non-citizen status. 26 states use the federal SAVE system for voter citizenship verification. SAVE processed 198 million cases in 2025. 24 states have no public record of using SAVE for voter rolls. New Jersey, they joined the ERIC system. So this is where everybody's looking, okay, what else is happening? They're going, all right, if this is happening to New Jersey, we're a part of ERIC, maybe we should start looking there too. They definitely are. So left-leaning states treat voter rolls like it's an open invitation, an open way to just cheat. And that's exactly what's been happening here. The people behind it are running all of this. And it's not a computer glitch, like I said, far, far from it. So moving into all of the things that happened as a result of Mikey Sherrill coming out, boy, she just totally blew it. She just went nuts. She comes out and she's like, we've moved very quickly because the people of New Jersey obviously deserve accountability and transparency. She added that her team, they were running an independent investigation to find out exactly how all of this happened. Shock. Then she pivoted hard, saying it was no surprise the Trump administration wanted to weaponize the issue rather than focus on free and fair elections. Oh, yeah, again, the easy narrative that they always fall back to, right? The default button that it's Trump's fault, regardless of what is going on. So this mess, it surfaced inside the same state government that oversees voter registration. It's been under pressure to clean its rolls for years. The federal government under President Trump has been pushing states to verify citizenship data after similar problems have popped up in other places. We've seen it. Sherrill's response followed the exact pattern that you would see from past state-level failures, where non-citizen registrations went unchecked until outside scrutiny forced action. So she blamed President Trump. She stated that the Trump administration seeks to weaponize the issue instead of focusing on free and fair elections. How did she get that? Exactly. Who knows? But it's the TDS. And all of a sudden, she realized after she got up there and she blamed the administration, which were all Democrats, for all of this happening. She's like, hey, wasn't here. Then she started catching heat. And so she starts lashing out. It's Trump's fault somehow, when he's the one that's trying to get to the bottom of all of this. Make it make sense, please, because it's very difficult. It's very difficult to get into the mind of a Democrat, a liberal loon, a TDS victim, because they just don't get it on so many levels. But it's not just the New Jersey scandal. You've got 6 states that were previous caught, including that thousands of non-citizens on voter rolls. It's not just there. So even though this is the big one because she came out, you can look and you can see that DHS preliminary reviews, they found 190,832 non-citizens on California voter rolls. Nevada records show 15,903 non-citizens registered to vote. Pennsylvania had 14,576 non-citizens on its voter rolls per the same DHS reviews. Then you have multiple states, including New Jersey. They do not use the federal SAVE system to verify the citizenship status in the voter registrations. So you're just asking for it. 6 states so far with thousands of non-citizens on the rolls, and Democrats still call it a major glitch. I kid you not. They will probably blame the software for mailing out the ballots too. I mean, this is great. It's like, no, they're not going to take any responsibility. They're not going to try to get to the bottom of it at all. This is just where we are with these people. Then let's take a little look-see over in Alaska, because Alaska's been in the news because why? We have Murkowski, who basically pulled these shenanigans, I'm convinced, to keep her seat, right? Even changing the way you vote. They had to change the whole system for her because they knew that she wasn't going to get the support that she needed to keep Daddy's seat. So Alaska just sent 3,048 letters to registered voters asking them to prove their citizenship before the August 18 primary. And those voters were all shifted to inactive status without warning. So anyone who skips the letter can still cast a provisional ballot on election day, but it will only count after they show proof later. So the Division of Elections Director, Carol Beecher, she told lawmakers the jump came from a routine check that matched the voter rolls against Division of Motor Vehicles records. So she admitted a lot of old data somehow got pulled in. somehow. The usual yearly sweep, it turned up about 200 names for review, not thousands. And then Steve Kirsch, he later confirmed the exact total was at 3,048, down from Beecher's earlier estimate of around 3,500. You have a lot of these state lawmakers who have already heard from constituents who say that the U.S. citizens, yet they are citizens, but they have not received any notices as of the current state. And then you have the same DMV that cross-checked the process that they have run for years and normally stays small, but they started focusing on the mismatches. This is a very big deal. I mean, this is a bigger haul than I think people even imagined. So you've got Alaska up there. They're asking them to verify citizenship status. This is ahead of the August 18th primary. They were moved to an active voter status until they are verified, and then they may cast provisional ballots if they do not respond. The total is unusually high compared to the typical 200 names from routine voter roll maintenance. You have officials who have attributed the spike to old data picked up that was during the comparison with Division of Motor Vehicle Records. They're just coming up with every excuse as to why this stuff could have happened. And then, of course, the citizens are most concerned because you've got 3,000 voters. You know, their citizenship checks like a bouncer at the polls. I mean, it's crazy. Then you have other states who pretend the rules are fine until Election Day chaos hits. Simple fix, zero drama. They're like, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to offer you this and see if this helps. We need proof of who these people are that are voting in our elections. I don't even know if they're alive or dead. I mean, we already know that there have been confirmed dead people that are on our voter rolls. So Eric Schmidt, he released a damning memo exposing Joe Biden's devious last-minute scheme to leave Trump with even more massive immigration crisis. This was huge. It's all part of their plan, right? We've known that this, and we've heard of the great replacement theory. They don't care if you're being replaced by robots. They don't care if you're being replaced by people who have a tag on their toe. So Eric Schmidt, he dropped a memo, and it was straight from the archivist of the United States that laid out Joe Biden's final push to flood the border with millions more. This was before handing things off. So the January 2025 document shows plans to grant temporary protected status to over 3 million people, including 1.5 million Guatemalans, 600,000 Ecuadorians, 464,000 Nicaraguans, and 455,000 Venezuelans, plus groups from Ukraine, Sudan, Afghanistan. Schmidt, he obtained this through a special access request as chairman of the subcommittee on the Constitution and posted the full memo on July 23rd. This memo, it zeroes in on Haiti as a priority target, and it notes how the earlier courts had blocked and had already stopped President Trump from ending these similar protections. So this fits perfectly. It's the same pattern from Biden's time in office when the policies created the largest immigration surge on the record, and it left agencies just scrambling to process arrivals. I mean, you remember all of that. They were flying people in. You didn't know what was behind the pipe and drape in the airports. Surprise, surprise. There's a whole lot of people there that are holding papers. They don't understand. They don't speak the language. And they're just told you're going to board this plane right here, right now. Better yet, you know what? They were being seated before Americans were even being seated. They just thought they were just going to sneak all of this on through, and who would be the wiser? Well, the reason why there was pipe and drape put up there is because too many people were noticing it. Too many people were watching when they were flying, and they started saying, hey, there are large groups of people that don't know what airplane they're supposed to board, and they are being shuffled within our country to all of these different areas, and they have no idea where they're going. They have no idea what they're just following each other, and they were being filmed, and it was going all over social media. You all remember all of this, right? Okay, so that was the whole deal. Then, because it was getting so much attention and because these videos were going out and people were really raising the alarm, they're like, okay, quick fix, let's put up pipe and drape. Police. Are you kidding? No, it doesn't make it go away. Community started noticing. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. I mean, these people are not, they're not assimilating. This is crazy third world stuff. You've got all kinds of problems that opened up as a result. I mean, rapes, you have murders, you have all kinds of chaos in our street, crime and everything else. You think we're not going to notice. They may not notice when they're sitting behind their walls and they've got cameras and private security, but you certainly notice. You also notice that you've got a whole bunch of people that are able to live in hotels. They are able to use EBT cards. They are able to have everything furnished for them, even tickets wherever they want to go once they get inside the United States. Welcome packages. You remember the welcome packages? Yeah, Kamala was real great about that one. Even a copy of her book. This is insanity. But this is what the Biden administration, this is who they were catering to. The new voters. They've lost the American people, and they know this. So the great replacement theory, yes, you're watching it in real time. We're at that chapter. So this is the same pattern from Biden's last time in office, right? Policies created the largest immigration surge on record, and it left agencies scrambling to process the arrivals. Then, of course, President Trump's administration, they have attempts to try to wind down TPS for certain countries, ran into federal court challenges. Surprise, surprise. You've got all of those activist judges up there that were trying to make sure that they could just stall what President Trump was trying to prevent. And that kept the programs alive while it was in court. So the memo reveals the outgoing team was still expanding eligibility lists, even as the 2024 election results came in. This move would have locked in even heavier burden for the next administration to handle at the border and in cities already strained by these releases, which it already has. I mean, you've heard people talk about it. People, even on the local level, they're like, what are we supposed to do about that? I mean, even the former mayor of New York City, he's like, hey, can't do anything with this. What do you expect me to do? And oh boy, they got rid of him real quick, right? Enter Mamdani. Oh my gosh, what a disaster. A complete and total disaster. The whole thing. The cities could not support it. This is how bad it was. So we're watching all of this stuff unfold, and it's just, they're just getting more and more extreme as time goes on. It's just, they're not afraid that you know, and they know that you do. And then all of a sudden they'll say, oh, you're racist. Yep. You don't like it. It's because you are racist. But that's what happened to Eric Adams. I mean, he started talking about it and then became really good friends with President Trump because he's like, look, my city cannot handle this. We can't do it. There's no way. And he was right. And he was replaced. So this memo, it has, you noted the prior court rulings. It blocked the termination of the existing TPS designations. And so, yeah, Biden's last move was slipping Trump a memo to greenlight TPS for millions more from Haiti and beyond. It was like a bad renter smashing the windows on checkout day. That's exactly what it was like. But he was going to deliver. Well, it wasn't really him, was it? He doesn't even know where he is. So that's how that whole thing went down. Wild. But you're starting to see it. Now you can't have, you know, the mainstream media is trying to say, oh, well, it really won't move the needle. It really won't change that much. But that narrative is just being clobbered. People are really fed up, and especially with the Republican Party. Can you imagine how Thune, it being even just him right now, he is so loathed by so many people because we know his game. We know he's owned, and we know that he has to be replaced. He knows that you know, and yet he's doing this anyway. And he realizes that it's going to be too big to rig because we are going to get somebody in his seat. He will never be in politics again. He's going to end up worse than Paul Ryan. I mean, even his name gives me just chills. So here we have the radical election cheaters from 25 states. They sue the U.S. government to prevent complying with the mandate on clean voter rolls. So the dance begins. You have 25 states plus Washington, D.C. They just filed an 85-page federal complaint in the U.S. District Court for the District of Rhode Island. This is to stop the Trump administration from tying Homeland Security grant money to clean voter roll requirements. The coalition wants a judge to block conditions on the fiscal year 2026. And so Homeland Security, this grant program, that they would hold back at least 20% of more than $740 million allocated to the plaintiff states. Named defendants including FEMA, the Department of Homeland Security, acting FEMA head Robert J. Fenton, and DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. California, Illinois, New Jersey, and Rhode Island, they lead the suit, backed by 24 attorneys general and the governors of Kentucky, Pennsylvania. The states argue that the grant conditions exceed the federal authority, yet the conditions specifically target maintenance of accurate voter rolls ahead of the upcoming elections. So this legal move, it is going to follow years of documented problems with outdated, inaccurate voter rolls, and it persisted after the 2020 election cycle. So this was after multiple states resisted the routine federal request for data verification. This is where the fight begins. These are the same agencies now that are under challenge to have long administered these grants without similar pushback until the new conditions linked the funding to basic election integrity steps. So the key players include the attorneys general from the Deep Blue states, who have repeatedly opposed federal oversight of voting processes in prior court fights. So same players, they are trying to protect the hen house. These stakes hit every single taxpayer who expects elections decided by eligible voters only. And the outcome will decide whether federal dollars keep flowing without basic safeguards. And if the states win, watch for more resistance to any future verification mandates. If they lose, the grants resume only after the rolls get cleaned. So this would shift power back to the voters who show up with proof they belong on the list. So things are definitely happening, but you have got some massive resistance. And for them, it's with good reason. They like the way things are rolling right now. California especially. I mean, they can just take their time. They can go out there to Skid Row and they can get all kinds of votes if they need them. They've got the tallies already there. And they're like, not done counting yet. Want to make sure we get every last one. This is a racket. So 25 states are suing to block the clean voter rolls. I mean, imagine thieves filing a lawsuit to keep the vault open. This is what we've got. I mean, they know fair elections mean they lose big. That's all it boils down to. That's it. That's all. So yes, we are watching this whole, when I say that it is a ping pong match, it definitely is. So I'm going to sum all of this up for you because it really is crazy. And it just keeps, I mean, the absurdity of the whole thing just keeps getting crazier and crazier. It's like they're right out there in the open. They know that you know, and they don't care. They've got the lamestream media, their PR firms. That's what I'm calling them because that's what they are. They're just very expensive PR firms. You've got the influence of foreign nations who are interfering in our elections, with which President Trump, he laid out perfectly. Then you've got all of this, the voter rolls. I mean, they have it, all of their bases covered to make sure that they are able to steal elections. And that is exactly what's been happening. They're all getting paid off, either by position or by money or by power. And it's time for us to take all of this back. And that's why we have to keep pushing. We just do. So, yeah, that's a lot. I know it's a lot. But that's where we are. Okay, so I promised you the twist, and here it is. So on Tuesday, the governor says software error. The vendor did it. The machine did it. Nice and clean. Nobody in her government has to answer for anything. She just thought, okay, I'm done here. And then Tuesday night, the software company reads that and they fired on back. Company's called IDEMIA. They run this system for New Jersey, and they have done so for 40 years. And they put out a statement that basically says, not so fast. Our job is to transmit information. That's it. The registration data goes to the New Jersey Division of Elections, which is, their words, ultimately responsible for verifying eligibility to vote. What we send over must still be validated and adjudicated by the Division of Elections. Must still be validated. So there was a checkpoint. Somebody in that state government was supposed to look at these registrations and say, citizen or not a citizen. And for 12 straight months, 6,600 of them got waved through. That's not a glitch, Jims. A glitch is a typo. That's a guard who wasn't at his post, or was and waved everybody through anyway. Kind of like January 6 vibes a little bit. So now the state's pointing at the vendor's pointing right back at the state, and sitting in the gap in the middle are 6,600 registrations nobody adjudicated. Everybody's got a handoff. Nobody's got the ball. And this is where it escalated. And this is the part that is happening right now as we sit here. The Department of Justice is not waiting around. Assistant Attorney General, this is Harmeet Dillon, who you have on loan for me because I need her back in California as soon as we get all of this resolved because she's wonderful. She sent New Jersey a letter giving them 5 business days to hand over the records, names, birth dates, nationalities, addresses, and for the 400 who voted, exactly when and where they cast those ballots. That clock runs out on Monday, 2 days from right now. Her line, and I want you to hear this one because it's the whole ball game. Ensuring that American citizens' votes are not illegally diluted by non-citizens' votes is of a paramount importance. Vote dilution, straight from the Justice Department. And this didn't come from out of nowhere. The DOJ already sued New Jersey back in February. This was a live case. United States versus Caldwell. This is where the feds have spent months trying to get the state's full voter database, and New Jersey has fought them the whole way. So now Dillon walks into that existing lawsuit and says, Your Honor, remember how we said this state might have a problem with its rolls? Well, they just admitted it on camera themselves. So what does the governor do? Does she say, you know what, we messed up, let's open up the books, let's prove there's nothing else here? Nope. She refuses, won't hand over the data. Her office accused the Trump administration of, quote, weaponizing the Justice Department and attempting to overturn election results. And the state's gone into court asking the judge to throw the whole case out. Let me say that back to you slowly so you can understand the absurdity of all of this. New Jersey told the entire country that there was a serious problem with its voter rolls. The federal government said, fine, let us see the rest of the rolls so that we can make sure that it's fixed. And New Jersey's answer is no, you can't look. If your smoke alarm goes off and the fire department shows up and you don't meet them at the door and you don't say, I've got it, thanks, you can go. I mean, not unless there's something inside that you really don't want them to see. So I'll be square with you because I've been doing my homework on all of this and I don't inflate things, and get caught because I try to make sure that I cover all my bases when I'm doing my research. But the DOJ has actually lost 3 voter data fights so far, 16 straight in the lower courts. Judges have continued to say that the department hasn't given a good enough reason to get the data. The deck's been stacked against them from the start. But flip that around. 16 courts blocking the federal government from even looking, and then New Jersey, where the one time somebody peeked, 6,600 non-citizens fell out. So ask the obvious question, who's behind the other 15 doors nobody's been allowed to open? That's not a losing streak, that's a wall. And New Jersey just showed you what it's been hiding. This fight over whether the feds can check state voter rolls heading into a midterm, that's exactly the kind of case that ends up at the Supreme Court. Nobody's filed there yet, but you can see it from here. And it might be a whole lot bigger than 6,600 because 6,600 is the governor's number. That's the floor. So the number she didn't get out of admitting because her own state dug it up. I mean, this is what it was. But President Trump, of course, he says the real number is 35,152. 35,000 in one state. That comes from Homeland Security, and he put it right out there next to his message, to Congress. And he said, get smart and pass the Save America Act. Well, straight with you again, that 35,000 is a Homeland Security finding that is still being verified. They say that there may be that many and that the state disputes it. So don't say it's like we're not sure because there's so much that we don't know. But what has been confirmed is that the governor's 6,600 that's the base. And what is being spoken about from the president and DHS is 35,000. But look, that spread, the floor is the state's own confession. The ceiling is 5 times higher. And that's just the 12-month window somebody happened to look at. So it's not just me wondering how deep this goes. I mean, Caroline Levitt, she comes back from after having a baby. She's, been taking care of family life, and she's like, wow, okay, this is fun. So she gets up there at the White House podium Thursday. In her words, she says it's 6,600, but we expect it's a heck of a lot more. Not just in New Jersey, but in states across the country. A heck of a lot more in states across the country. That's not a blogger. That's the podium of the United States government. And New Jersey isn't even alone in the crosshairs. Homeland Security flagged 4 states: California, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. And here's the tell. A full week after those letters went out, only one of the 4 admitted a problem: New Jersey. The other 3 stonewalled or went quiet. So understand, New Jersey isn't the worst case here. New Jersey is just the one that got caught. Now, does history tell us this stuff is real and that it changes the outcomes? Well, it does. And these aren't theories, these are court orders. I have 2 receipts and then I'll bring it home for you. So, North Carolina, 2018, you have the 9th Congressional District. This was an absentee ballot operation. It was run by an operative named McCrae Dowless, and it was running for the Republican. The candidate himself didn't know. So investigators, they cleared him, but the State Board of Elections, they threw the whole election out and ordered a brand new one. First congressional race voided in 40 years. And I'll tell you, the fraud was on the our side every single time because I'm not carrying water for a team. I want a clean count. And then right in New Jersey's own backyard, you had Perth Amboy in 2015 city council race. It was decided by 10 votes. 13 illegal absentee ballots surfaced, and a judge overturned it, ordered a do-over. 13 ballots flipped a race. So now hold that number next to 400 illegal votes in a state where an election got thrown out over 13. Still want to tell me that doesn't matter? That it doesn't? I mean, really? That's the argument of the other side? So you can see the pattern in both, right? It's never the guy in a fake mustache at the polling place. It's paperwork. It's the mail. It's registration. The boring administrative plumbing nobody covers because it doesn't make a good villain. And that is exactly what happened in New Jersey. The break wasn't at the ballot box. It was at the registration. Which is the whole reason why the Save America Act matters and why I'm going to bring it on home for you after we go through some fun things, because we've got a lot of fun things to talk about before we sum this whole thing up. But this has been a week. I mean, non-stop. If it wasn't one thing, it was another. Plenty of distractions. But one of the things that really should haunt everybody is the fact that the lamestream media, I don't know if they had a nudge or some kind of leak that somebody said, hey, you know what? They're getting close. And Mickey Sherrill is going to drop a bomb next week. So let's not add more fuel to the fire. And I think probably right in assuming that they all knew that it was coming, because they know that this administration does not play. All right, let's head on over to X and see what's happening over there in the meantime, because there's a lot of things that are going on as we speak. There is never a dull moment on this show, as you know. So let's go on over to X. Okay, major scoop. Of course there's a major scoop. Why wouldn't there be? On X? Really? Every minute of every day, I'm just scrolling through my feed going, what else is going on here? So there was an email that was pulled through a FOIA request, and it landed on X this July, and it put King County Elections Director Julie Wise on the record admitting exactly what officials have long denied. Well, Wise stated that non-citizens were being registered to vote at the same time that they applied for driver's licenses. She added her own worry that the reports they already had might only show a fraction of the real total. So the email came from the Democrat-endorsed director herself in Washington state's largest county. Vote by mail has run in Washington since 1983, the same system that produced the records now under fresh review. Similar admissions have resurfaced elsewhere, including Maine's Secretary of State that acknowledges non-citizen registrations on a public video earlier this year. This pattern matches years of official paperwork that keeps getting waved away as impossible. But what this means on the ground is that ballots cast by people who cannot legally vote are already in the system, and that these people in charge knew it was happening. So King County voters now face the task of cleaning the rules before the next election cycle. The next step is watching whether other states follow the same FOIA path and force their own directors to answer the same questions. This is a very big deal. So Democrats insist non-citizens never vote, yet their own election director admits it happened for years via driver's licenses. And the denial, this whole denial, this loud, it needs its own trophy case, because we're seeing this in all of these states, especially the blue ones. You have Scott Pressler, bless his heart, and I mean that in the most sincere way. This man is like, he's got so much passion for this country. He loves this country. He has been working day and night, and he was warning Thune from the very beginning. He has been asking Thune. If you go to his timeline, you can see it. This is day whatever of asking John Thune to pass the Save America Act. Now he's getting like we are. Okay, get ready, bud, because you are going to have a primary just like Texas. Just like what happened to Cornyn, your BFF. Yeah, we're going to do the exact same thing to you. We're tired of being nice. We're not going to be rolled over. And I think that is now starting to hit home with other Republicans who are starting to shuffle in their seat, because you've got Mike Lee, who's out there saying, look, none of you should be comfortable with what's going on with all the information that's dropping. And you, of course, even the lamestream media, they're out there having to report it, because these are Democrat governors that are going to the podium saying, hey, we've got a problem. But Scott Pressler, he just dropped the evidence that 65 pages of non-citizens' names sit on Chester County, Pennsylvania's non-juror list. So he obtained the full list showing people summoned for jury duty who are not citizens. Think about that. Pressler posted this on X, and it proves that non-citizens have been registered to vote. And he stated outright, if this is happening in Chester County, it's happening everywhere. So pass the Save America Act. This post from July 24th, it called the findings a massive sign that voter rolls are compromised. So it's not just here in California, it's probably on your voter roll too. And this exposure builds on early alerts about Pennsylvania registration problems that surfaced after the expanded mail-in rules took effect in 2020. So similar list in the other state, they've also raised flags about how citizenship checks were skipped. This is during high volume signups. While these same patterns trace back to federal and local pushes for easier access that left verification gaps. And it's true. There are so much there that we've got to correct. So now the Save America Act, it's positioned to require proof of citizenship before anyone gets on the rolls. Without it, the same issues could affect outcomes in multiple states. So citizens watching expect lawmakers to move on the bill before the next cycle. We are demanding that it does. Because again, the DMV showing your license, that's not a guarantee. That's not going to make sure that you have illegal aliens who have IDs, driver's license. They can march up, flash that, and say, hey, all right, I'm ready to vote. That's how vulnerable we are right now. So what we are actually asking for is proof of citizenship. That is where we get it, and that's where we nip it in the bud. So the fact that Scott Pressler was able to post the 65-page list of non-citizen names from Chester County, non-juror list, this is huge. I mean, these names belong to individuals summoned for jury duty who are not U.S. citizens. Think about that. Let that just sink in. Crazy. So they lied. They cheated. They stole 2020. And now even DHS is threatening criminal charges. They're threatening prison time, lifetime bans. I mean, better late than never, right? We've got to get this whole thing taken care of, because if not, we're just going to be a disaster. We'll never get back to where we need to be as a country. Never, the way this has been run. So here you have the real stakes. This post, and of course it claims that 2020 election was stolen through lies, cheating, and fraud. States DHS is threatening criminal charges, prison time, lifetime bans, promotes Lindell Offense Fund for county-by-county removal of voting machines, calls for paper ballots, hand counts, citizen observers, and audits. It's also urging sharing messages with sheriffs, legislators, and county clerks to demand accountability. This is a very big deal. And everybody knows that they are and have been able to get away with it up to this point. So people are out there saying, look, you've got to put them on blast. These are just some of the X posts that are out there right now. And yeah, this is real. We're watching this whole thing happen and unfold in real time. So make sure that you blast your sheriff, your legislators, your county clerk, ask them to their face. Should people who lied about 2020 ever hold power, clearance, or office again? Yes or no? These are straight up criminals. So you have to get involved. That is the only way. I mean, we used to talk about being poll workers and all of that, but this is happening right up under our noses. We've got to fix it. It's up to us. We got President Trump in office. We made it too big to rig. He needs help. We've come this far. Make sure that you call John Thune, whether you think it's going to help or not. I was laughing because, everyone was saying, okay, I'm calling now. I call every day. And every single day that I call, and I call sometimes a couple of times a day, John Thune's office, And when I do, I always run out the machine. Always. I just continue on. I talk about everything, every single last bit of it. You would think I was doing a show because I've got all of my little facts and I'm like, Thune, the buffoon, you need to move. You need to do something because if not, our elections are going to be stolen. They're going to continue to be stolen, but I think that's what you want. Is that what you want? That's what you're telling the people by not getting this passed. I mean, I can go on for hours until that little thing goes, you're done, and they cut me off. But it's very easy to make these phone calls, and you just got to do it. So we're going to move into our next segment with what is wrong with these people. Well, I can tell you there's plenty wrong with these people. I mean, that's a fact, Jack. When you start talking about the left and the liberals and the commie cultists that have invaded our country, some of them are in government, some of them are aides. This is a scary time for us in history, and we need to fix it. But this is a segment where we basically talk about how the left has dumbed down our society. So that's where we are. Though this one is not a funny one. This is a horror that happened in Arizona. A whistleblower says that Native Americans were drugged, locked in fake rehab houses so that criminals could steal billions from Medicaid. Up to 2,000 feared dead or missing. Kid you not. All right, so Reva Stewart, she started digging after her cousin got lured with drugs and alcohol and then was snatched up by operators pretending to run treatment programs. In Arizona, a Medicaid fraud ring has been grabbing Native Americans off the streets, stuffing them into white vans and pumping them full of fentanyl, methamphetamine, and then booze before locking them inside a fake behavioral health home. Operators then billed Medicaid for months of non-existent care, with the state estimating, putting the fraud at $2.5 to $2.8 billion, while whistleblowers say the full network may have pulled in as much as $12 billion. This is up to 2,000 Native Americans who are feared dead or missing from the operation, and the scheme is still running according to the latest allegations. Now, Arizona officials, they already knew about the fraud. This goes back as far as 2019. This is per a lawsuit that was filed by attorneys and whistleblowers. Reva Stewart says that the same people who took her cousin kept the victims drugged and isolated so that they could keep the false claims flowing. The fake homes that were operated under the cover of this behavioral health services, while the real money came in from Medicaid reimbursements that kept rolling in for years. So they just kept these people locked up and just were taking this money saying, oh no, we're treating them and we're billing you for it. This is such a sick story. So you've got the fake homes. They operated under the cover of behavioral health services, and they were just billing left and right. This is the same state system that the problem, basically festered after early warnings that reached officials. They were like, yeah, I've heard this story before, but didn't do anything about it. So taxpayers covered the billions while families lost their loved ones who never came home. The ongoing claims mean that more vulnerable people could still be getting pulled into vans right this minute. So watch for whether federal prosecutors finally move on this or not, because you've got networks that are now starting to cover it, and then you have some that are trying to sweep it under the rug. So this is a really sad situation, because when you think about the fact that Arizona officials knew about the Medicaid fraud scheme involving the fake behavioral health homes, and that they've known about it since 2019. But there is a lawsuit that is right now there in court. And like I said, who knows what's happening now? People are still probably getting kidnapped and still being, processed and saying, hey, we've got somebody here that needs to be cleaned up. And so here's your bill, and running this scheme. And some of them are feared dead. This is horrible. So they've known since 2019, you have billions of dollars that vanished and victims that have disappeared into these fake rehabs. This is another Medicaid gold rush for criminals at the expense of the vulnerable. So that is just a sick story. But do you put anything past them? I mean, really, you shouldn't. Oh, we've got to switch gears. We've got to get into something happy. So why don't we? Why don't we talk about, let's talk about what President Trump did while all of this was going on. Let's head right on into Trump's victory vault. Okay, the declassified election files, shocking CIA note on election machine vulnerabilities in Venezuela. Yes, the truth is out. President Trump was talking about Venezuela, and all eyes are on different governments around the world who may have helped or assisted in stealing our elections. The House also passed continuing resolution to fund government until December 4th, so that's going on still. And you have the Trump administration that wins a huge court battle over mail-in ballot rule that requires states submit voter list and ballot barcodes before Postal Service will deliver federal ballots. That is a huge win. And then you have the Trump administration that moves to ban illegal aliens from banking services to encourage self-deportation. This was huge. So you've got Stephen Miller, who is working on this. He is the White House Deputy Chief of Staff. Love Stephen Miller. I think he is doing incredible work in the administration. And boy, we just need the best of the best and the toughest of the toughest. So that is our victory vault. Everything from stolen elections to missing people. I don't know. Somebody drop a recipe in chat or talk about something happy, puppies, what have you, because this turned into kind of a dark show. But it is dark. When you think about what's happened to our country, it is very, very dark. It is frightening that we are at this point and that it was by design. And we've been talking about all of these things for so long. And we're like, when President Trump gets into office, we're finally going to be able to expose all of this. And here we are. The truth is hard sometimes to listen to, but we are in a very fragile and frightening situation this time in our country. So before we close, and I have plenty to close on, I want to go ahead and give everybody that helps me on this show a massive shout out. Mods, you all are amazing. Thank you so, so much for everything that you do. Normaski, Molly McFoley. I mean, you all are just amazing, and I really and truly appreciate you. Also, I wanted to just talk about what's going on with X. I have no idea why some people can get on X and post and why others cannot. It's just a strange situation over there right now. I think they did an upgrade like yesterday. You could get into the chat, but only if you clicked on my avatar. It was a very strange thing. But I'm just going to keep a lookout for it. I think some people are on Droid, some people are on Apple. I don't know if there are some upgrades or things changing over there, but yes. I also want to thank Patriot Lioness. Thank you so much for all of your posts to get people into the chat. You're just amazing, truly, and I just appreciate you so much. And of course, Jackie. Oh my gosh, the wonderful Jackie, who puts together those incredible little videos as AIs. They're just wild. Amazing job. You're all so talented, and I know I'm missing people, but I also want to help those that help me with this show, that work behind the scene tirelessly, no matter what's going on. This is my crew, and they deserve so much credit for all of the information that they are able to to gather. So I want to give a massive shout out to the phenomenal team that works behind the scenes. Endless appreciation to the brilliant Patriot Penzi, her insightful articles, meticulous research. A huge thank you to the storytelling maestro, Rob Playgram Sr. Now, he is the one that puts together the top 10 that you all love so much. I had a couple of people say, I love that top 10. It's great. We have a good time putting that one together. But Rob is able to somehow shrink that into 10 stories, especially with President Trump being at the helm. I have no idea how he's able to do that. He said he started with 20 this week, so he did very well. And then he also does the monologue as well. So just incredible. Then, of course, we have Fleet Admiral James, who is out of the hospital doing amazingly well. That was a very close call for Fleet Admiral James. And he was in ICU, as you know, for months. And now he is walking. He has got all of that weight off of him. His kidneys are back to, we're on a kidney transplant list, but he's been able to get back on dialysis and get rid of all of that excessive fluid. His heart is doing so much better. And it's because of the prayers. So thank you so much for checking on him and for supporting him and all of the things that you do. It just means the world. A huge thank you to Megavolt 007. Just amazing ideas for this show, relentless efforts that keep us moving forward. And of course, the mods. I know I mentioned you once, but I'm going to mention you again because you're just awesome. You're what makes this chat room sing. And also, you keep it safe because we do get a couple of buzzards in here every once in a while. And we don't know what to do with them, but you do. Thank you for making it a welcoming space for us to connect and to share and to spill the tea. I'm beyond grateful for everything that you all do. A sincere thank you to Link London and Nick Twitt, my two very dear friends, for generously sharing the beautiful music for us to use on this show. Just really appreciate them. And hopefully we'll be able to get Lemon Twist back, but it's going to take some doing, as you know. All right. Well, before I let you go, we got to bring this thing all the way home. So we've covered a lot, and I know how it goes. You hear 6600, you hear software error, and by Tuesday, it's gone, replaced by the next headline. Slid right off the table. Well, don't let it. Here's what we actually know. Not what I think, but what's on the record from people in charge. 6,600 non-citizens on New Jersey rolls. All right. This is around 400 that we know of that voted. The people affected told the truth and got registered anyway. It ran for a year. It stayed buried 2 more. The Democrat governor called it reckless and said the people in charge weren't transparent. The vendor says the state was supposed to catch it. The DOJ gave the state 5 days, and the governor is refusing to open the books. Every word of that came from them. And then you have the one thing that everybody's certain about is the one thing that nobody can possibly know yet, that it didn't matter. Well, history has an answer. A congressional seat in North Carolina voided. A mayor's primary in Connecticut thrown out. A race in Indiana rerun. Different winner. A city council seat in New Jersey overturned over 13 ballots. 13. And here they've got 400 and can't tell you where they landed. Every one of those ran through the same door, not the polling place, the registration, the part nobody watches. That's the license loophole. The lock on the front door has been perfect this whole time, and the window's been open since 2023. So what do you do about it? Well, 2 things, and I want you to actually do them. 1, the Save America Act, proof of citizenship at registration, the exact spot this broke. Not at the ballot box where it's already too late, because there's the thing people keep mixing up. The voter ID checks who you are at the polls. Every one of those 6,600 had a valid ID. That's how they got in the system. ID catches 0 of them. Save checks citizenship at the front of the line before you're ever on the roll. That's the patch for this exact hole. It's in Congress right now. Your senator has a phone number. 90 seconds. You've scrolled longer than that getting here. 2. Look at your own state. New Jersey is not special. The only unusual thing about New Jersey is somebody finally admitting it. 3. Other states. 3 of them, they got the exact same letter and they went quiet. So ask your county, ask your Secretary of State, when was the last audit? Who verifies eligibility? Who's the vendor? Those aren't conspiracy questions. Those are customer service questions, and you're the customer. And look, I know some of you are tired. You've been called crazy for years for saying out loud what Democrat governor confirmed on camera this week, fact-checked, throttled, lectured at. But you have a full-blown Democrat governor who said, yes, all of this happened. You weren't imagining it. You were early. President Trump's been hammering this for years and eating every insult in the book for it. And 6 days after he said it out loud, New Jersey proved him right in public. That's not a talking point. That's a timeline. Midterms are in November, and that's not a lot of runway to fix a hole this size. But it's enough to make some noise. And noise is how things get fixed. So make some. Well, that's the show. I'm Jules Jones. This has been a political rendezvous. If this one hit you, send it to a person in your life who thinks this is all settled, because it's definitely far from. Like it, subscribe, hit the bell. We're live every Saturday at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Again, I want to thank you for spending your Saturday with me. I don't take it for granted. Take care of each other, ask the hard questions, and I'll see you next week. In the meantime, you all be safe, be kind to one another, and we will see you later. Toodly-doo.